By the end of this video, you will know the game plan to build up your emergency fund of at least $1,000 in 6 months or less. The reality is you don't want to fall into debt or sink deeper in debt anytime an emergency pops up. And the truth is, emergencies do happen. You want to have agency. You want to have control when an emergency comes your way that has a financial component. Unfortunately, it is reported that 44% of Americans wouldn't turn to savings for a $1,000 emergency expense. Instead, many people turn to financing, aka taking on debt in order to cover an emergency. And you know what taking on more debt means, right? It means that $1,000 emergency expense is not a $1,000 emergency expense. Because of paying interest, it becomes a $1,200, $1,300, $1,500, or even a higher expense than that. Because the longer you take to pay off a debt, the more interest you're gonna be paying on it. It becomes this cycle of trying to climb out of a hole while you are getting kicked further into that hole. And if we really want to use this hole analogy, think of your emergency fund like a ladder or maybe a cable that's going to help you bounce back and get out of that hole a lot easier and a lot quicker than if you didn't have any tools whatsoever. I don't know why I used a hole as an analogy. I mean, have any of you ever fallen into a hole? I hope not. Anyway, here's what I'm covering in this video. A month-by-month plan to build your starter emergency fund of $1,000. If you don't have an emergency fund, or if you just want to build yours up even more and learn a new savings technique, then this video should help you. I believe that most of you can do this in 6 months or less. For those new here, hello and welcome. My name is Lissa Prudencio, and I'm an accredited financial counselor, a personal finance expert, and the co-host of the brand new podcast, Net, where we empower you to make your own damn financial decisions. Check out my podcast up here. Month number 1, just start. To build your emergency fund, you are gonna dive in head first. In this month, you're just gonna do it. Nike style, just do it, just start. Some might argue that you should check your finances first before you start saving because you need to make sure you have enough money to save. I'm gonna get to that later on in the video, and I don't think that's a bad idea at all. But personally, I feel like just starting is as important, if not more important, than everything else. Now, if you don't know what an emergency fund is, what it's used for, how to use it, then make sure you carve out time to watch my other video on emergency funds up here. Otherwise, let's get to the strategy. So for the next 6 months of building up your starter emergency fund, here's a preview of what you're gonna do logistically, the actual amounts you're gonna save. As you can see, we aren't just taking $1,000 and dividing it by 6, which would be $166.67 per month. There's a logic behind why you're gonna start off small. Let's first talk logistics. So, how to kickstart this savings plan in 2 steps. Step number 1, open an online savings account, also known as a high-yield savings account. If you don't currently have one, then find one and open one. Make sure it has deposit insurance and just make sure it's from a reputable company. If you already have one and you can dedicate this to be your emergency fund account, then use that account. Now, if you already have money in there for a different purpose, maybe you're saving for a vacation or something else, then make sure you move that money to another savings account, because one of the big keys in successfully building an emergency fund is keeping it separate and compartmentalized from all of your other money. For most people, what this looks like is simply keeping it in its own account. You don't want the money bleeding in with the rest of your money, otherwise it's going to be really easy to pull from your emergency fund money when it's for non-emergencies. Mentally, you want to train yourself to know that this money over here, this emergency fund, is literally for emergencies only. Quick extra tip: make sure that you maintain any minimum balance requirements in your accounts, in your savings accounts, if they require it. Usually, a lot of the bigger online savings accounts don't have a requirement, but just check to make sure. All right, step number 2 in getting everything set up a direct deposit or an automatic transfer. For those of you who are paid bi-weekly, you're gonna start with $25 per paycheck. For those of you paid monthly, start with $50 per paycheck. So all you're doing in this first month, month one, is saving $50. Direct deposit is something that you would set up through your employer. So if you already have a direct deposit set up at your job, every time you get paid, your money goes straight into your checking account, then that's great. You're not gonna cancel that, but what you're gonna do is you're gonna go check with HR or your payroll department to see if you can set up another account with a direct deposit. You're gonna set up an amount to go towards your online savings account, so that's that $25 or $50. Then you're gonna elect to have the rest of it deposited into your checking account or wherever you already had your money going. In some cases, you won't be able to do a direct deposit. For example, some employers or banks require a minimum amount for a direct deposit, so maybe that $25 per paycheck is too low. Some employers won't allow you to do a second account on your direct deposit, and some employers don't offer direct deposit at all. So if any of these apply to you and that's not an option, then look into utilizing automatic transfers. This is something that you would set up at your bank. So you would schedule transfers from your checking account, wherever your paycheck goes, into your savings account, and you can either do that on payday or set it up for the following day if you want an extra cushion to prevent overdrafting, especially if your account doesn't usually have a buffer of money in it. In all other cases, if you can't automate, then transfer money manually into your savings for now according to the schedule. Now, I know that some people's finances are simply just that tight. If you're thinking, Lisa, I can't afford to put money aside like this, I got bills I gotta pay, I have credit cards I gotta pay, here's what I want you to know. Those things are absolutely important. They're all part of your financial health. But my challenge to you is to find that $50 in month one. Cancel a few subscriptions, downgrade your phone plan, eat out less, do what you gotta do. Now, make sure you keep on paying at least the minimum on all of your debts and credit cards if you have any, so that you don't mess up your credit. But otherwise, your goal is to also start prioritizing your emergency fund as well. Because like I said earlier, your emergency fund has long-term implications. The next time you get kicked deeper into a hole because of an emergency, some unexpected thing comes up, you're gonna be able to bounce back so much faster and hopefully pay less interest in the long run. Once you've set up your automated system and you just start, let's talk about month two. So month two, you're gonna assess your finances and cut down on expenses. Realistically, assessing your finances should happen as soon as possible. Do it in month one if you can. The reason I wanted you to dive in head first and just set up that direct deposit or automatic transfer before reviewing your finances is I am confident that most people can find $50 in their budget. And secretly, the bigger goal here is I'm trying to help you start the habit of prioritizing your financial future. It's really hard to do that when you are just drowning in the present, and it's very valid if you feel like that, if your money is tight. But if you keep putting off your finances, which means putting off your budget, putting off looking at your expenses, then there's a high likelihood you're also gonna put off saving. So that's why I wanted you to jump in head first. So in month two, you are gonna dig into your finances. Basically, you're gonna audit your finances to see whether or not you can sustainably and consistently set aside money to save towards your emergency fund. You're gonna look at what we call your cash flow. So in month one, you put aside $50, you forced yourself to set aside the savings. Hopefully you put it aside without going into debt in another area in your financial life. Maybe you cut something out of your budget and it was a one and done thing. Maybe you typically have extra money every month. But now, since we know you're gonna be increasing your savings rate during these 6 months and hopefully into the future, it's gonna be imperative that you review your finances. You wanna see how realistic it is to save the amounts that you're gonna be saving. If it's unrealistic and your numbers are just that tight and you can't find the money in your budget, then at the very least, doing this audit, this assessment, is gonna give you important information on how you can proceed. So here's how to audit your finances. You're gonna do what I call a cash flow audit. Lucky for you, I have a free spreadsheet template to walk you through this process and a video to go along with it. So I'll make sure to drop those links in the description. It's gonna have you look back at the last 30 days or any 1 month's span of data to get a feel for how money comes in and money goes out. Even though most people's finances are not the exact same from month to month, doing this is still gonna be helpful. It's gonna give you some insight into how money moves into your life and out of your life. Think of it as a basis, a starting point. You simply need this information so that you can make smarter money decisions and you can make some tweaks if you have to. If you end up using my cash flow audit spreadsheet, it's gonna tell you how much money you have each month or how much you tend to overspend. Whatever you come out with, it's gonna determine how much flexibility you have to make this increase in your savings rate. If you don't use my spreadsheet, then basically all you gotta do is add up all of the money you made in a 30-day span, and then separately add up all of the expenses you had in that same 30-day span. So that's gonna take you looking at your credit card accounts, bank accounts, maybe your Venmo accounts, and things like that. You're gonna subtract your expenses from your income, and this becomes your monthly cash flow number. For those of you who are in the green and you come out with a positive number, then you should be able to safely double your direct deposit or savings amount. So here's the savings schedule again. In month 2, you're gonna double your savings amount. So if you're paid bi-weekly, you're gonna increase this to $50 per paycheck. If you are paid monthly, you're gonna increase this to $100 per paycheck. Now, let's talk about what happens if you are in the red. If you do this exercise and you come out with a negative number, this means that you are overspending, that you are living beyond your current means, at least on a monthly basis. The big focus for you is going to look for the non-essentials in your budget and find out what you can cut and just cut it. Living within your means is such a critical piece of your entire financial life. You gotta get your spending under control if you really want long-term financial health. Now, only you can decide what things to keep and what things to cut out, because the last thing you also wanna do is cut everything out to where now you're helping your financial health, but you are also negatively impacting, let's say, your mental health. Month number 3, you are going to increase your savings rate again, and we're gonna introduce side hustling, maybe, for some of you. So here's where things get interesting. In month 3, like I said, you are gonna increase your savings rate yet again. This could feel tough or impossible, especially for those of you on tighter budgets, but you're gonna find a way to do it. So if you're following this 6-month schedule, this 6-month savings plan, here's what the increase can look like. If you're paid bi-weekly, you're gonna double your direct deposit again to $100 per paycheck. For those paid monthly, you're gonna go up to $150. If you can make the jump to $200 now, then go ahead and do it. Or if anyone can increase that to higher numbers, then by all means do it. Quick side note for those who are paid bi-weekly. There's gonna be 1 month during this 6-month span that you're gonna receive 3 paychecks. Depending on when that falls, it can impact your final savings number at the end of 6 months. But regardless, you should still end up with around $1,000 at the end of this, if not more, because you are adding extra along the way. Now, at this point, for those who struggle with finances, it might be hard to wrap your head around putting $150 to $200 a month away in savings. After all, if things are tight, and if you had that much extra money each month anyway, wouldn't you already have a bunch of money saved up? Well, yes and no, because there's also the behavioral component. The reason that this method works is you are building a habit. Some of you probably realize that the method that we're using is paying yourself first. What it means to pay yourself first is you are prioritizing future you anytime money comes your way before you pay any other person, any other company, any other liability, even your bills. You are prioritizing you. So mentally, you are telling yourself that future you is just as important as all of your expenses or all of your past debt. Behaviorally, you are putting in reps. You are training yourself to be consistent with saving no matter what. That if you just save, you will find a way to get by. You will find a way to make the rest of your finances work. Now, the other thing I want you to think about in month 3 is how to make more money. If your savings rate is starting to feel too much of a stretch, and this will really just depend on your income and expenses, and if you already feel like you've cut out everything you could possibly cut out of your budget, then now's the time to look for more income. Find ways to make extra money. Now, real quick, here are my thoughts on side hustles. Generally, I am not a huge fan of side hustles. I'm not going to knock someone else's hustle. But I personally don't think hustle culture is what makes people wealthy in the long run, because using up all of your time and all of your energy on certain things where you're trading time for money is going to eventually cause you to burn out. Now, if you have some other like passive income stream, I don't necessarily consider that a side hustle, even though you might. So that's a whole different thing. Now, with all of that said, I do think side hustles can be used as a tool. Sometimes. For example, if you are someone trying to build your financial foundations, get a little bit of extra money, then I think it's a good option. I just think you should look at these side hustles as temporary for phases in your life, especially if you're just doing a few months at a time or so, maybe even a year. But when you are using all of your extra time and energy towards making money, all the time for years and years and years, you're gonna burn out and you're never gonna have time to actually enjoy the money that you're making. Now, I think making an extra $100 to $200 a month, especially for this goal of building your emergency fund, is realistic and it is possible most times if you can get out of your own way. It could also help if you have a good network. For example, ask all of your friends, your family, your neighbors if they need a house sitter, a dog sitter, a babysitter, or just help with anything else. You can make an extra $100 or $200 or more in less than a day if you can find the right side hustle. Or if you have a specialized skill, you can find something part-time or a freelance gig, maybe something you can do from home, like virtual assistants, graphic design, those types of things. Honestly, booking the gig is probably the hardest part, but actually doing the work should take no more than a few hours per month, which means in less than one day in 1 month, you can make up that savings amount if you don't already have it. Just think of it as a temporary means to an end, something that's going to help give you that solid foundation of an emergency fund in your overall finances. Month number 4, stay motivated and increase your savings rate again. All right, in month 4, you might take a peek at your emergency savings account and you might be like, I barely saved anything. And if you followed my sample plan, you should have about $300-ish of your $1,000 emergency fund by now. Hopefully you're putting more in, but if not, here's why you are halfway into the plan, 3 months in, but you're not halfway to the goal yet. In my opinion, building the system and building the habit are way more important than the actual dollar figure in your savings account. It's not that you haven't done much and that you haven't done anything. You've probably done the hardest part of this whole plan. You've set up the system, aka you've opened the account or set up the account, and you've set up the direct deposit or automatic transfer. You've built the habit, meaning you have built the consistency of putting money aside for future you. The more closely you've stuck with this plan for the first 3 months, guess what? You're not just building a habit towards building this $1,000 emergency fund, you're actually building a habit for the entire future of your finances. Because once you've funded that first $1,000 of your emergency fund, it's like, cool, you have a cushion, it'll be there in case an emergency comes about. But you now have this method that you are used to using. So you're going to use it to increase your emergency fund to 3 months worth of expenses, to 6 months worth of expenses. Once you've built up the entire emergency fund, you can focus on paying down your debt more quickly because you're going to prioritize it with your extra money. And if you want to learn more about that, make sure you check out my video on paying off debt. Now, beyond that, once you've filled up your emergency fund, you've paid down your high interest debts, you're gonna use this same method and this same habit that you've already built up to invest more money and to invest more consistently, which is ultimately what's gonna help you build wealth a lot faster in the long run. So, in month 4, or at any point that you're feeling unmotivated in building this emergency fund, just try to remember what you're doing here. You are building your foundations for the long term. So yes, maybe I clickbaited you into this video talking about a 6-month savings plan, when in reality, what I'm doing is I'm teaching you a long-term game plan. So in month 4, for those of you who are paid bi-weekly, you are gonna now be putting aside $100 per check. And if you're paid monthly, you're gonna bump up your savings rate another $50 so that you're putting aside $200 total this month. Does this feel hard? Does this feel like you've cut out all the expenses, you've taken on a side hustle, and you still can't put aside this much money? Well, I'll challenge you to look around your house, see if there's anything you can sell for some extra money. Just do anything you can to get creative. All right, 2 more months on this plan, but quick intermission. If you're enjoying this video, please don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe if you aren't already. Thank you for all of the support on my channel. I really appreciate all of you. Month number 5, check in and stay focused. In month 5, you're gonna look back and you're either gonna be saying, damn, that was a lot easier than I thought. Or you're gonna be like, money is so tight and this is not sustainable for me. Maybe there's an in-between, but usually I feel like it's one of those extremes. In any case, take a look at your emergency savings account. See what's in your online savings account. How much have you set aside? That is a trick question because it doesn't matter how much is in there, because guess what? You didn't really have a dedicated emergency fund 4 to 5 months ago. So whether you're looking at $400, $500, $1,000, or way more, remind yourself that you've come a long way. You have built up a cushion. This is gonna help you in case of an emergency. Earlier in the video, I mentioned how paying for an emergency expense with credit or with a loan just makes that emergency more expensive. Because instead of paying $1,000 for some kind of emergency, you'd also be paying interest on it. Now, wherever you're at so far, you know that that's not going to be the case. You should be able to cover many types of emergencies. So in month 5, for those of you who are paid bi-weekly, you don't have to make any more changes to your direct deposit amount unless you want to, unless you can increase it safely without affecting the rest of your finances. And for those who are paid monthly, this month you want to put aside $250 into your savings. You can use all of the methods that I've talked about in this video so far. That means cutting down non-essential spend, picking up side hustles, selling items. Do what you gotta do, put aside $250, stay focused because you are almost there. All right, finally, month number 6, the final push. There isn't much to do here except stick to the plan that's already in motion, but at some point in this 6 months, it's likely that you could have had an emergency already come up. So you might have dipped into this fund or you might have gotten sidetracked. My hope is that you found your way back into the consistency of paying yourself first and only touching your emergency fund for legit emergencies. So in month 6, as long as no emergencies come your way, just let your system continue doing its thing. You don't even have to check to see if you already have that $1,000 emergency fund in your account unless you really want to. Just keep it going and see how much you can build up in this fund now that you've gotten used to it being part of your regular cash flow. And there you have it. You have now done the work to not only give yourself a starter emergency fund, but you've also probably come to the realization that future you and your future finances are indeed a priority. To keep learning about building wealth, make sure you check out more videos, and until next time, peace out.